Hello and welcome to a very special show which is part of the NDTV ASL Save Our Tigers campaign. When we did the first edition of our campaign a couple of years back, tiger numbers were at 1,411. Now, as we begin the fourth edition of the campaign to save our tigers, the numbers are up to 2,226 as per the official census, and that of course makes us feel rather proud, because as we've been campaigning since 2008, saving the tiger is something that should be a national priority, and we are happy to say that the entire country has really got together to try and take the steps that are required to save the tigers in this country, and also to look at all the stuff around it, all the things around it that we can do, including saving the habitat and protecting the habitat. Now, where do we go from here? That's the big question to ask, and we have our key experts with us, starting with Amitabh Bachchan, our partner from ASL. Thanks a lot for being with us. Rajesh Gopal, who was very recently Member Secretary of the National Tiger Conservation Authority and is now Secretary General of the Global Tiger Forum. So wonderful to have you with us. Vivek Menon is the Executive Director and CEO of the Wildlife Trust of India. And another one of our partners, Bittu Sehgal, is with us, founding editor of Sanctuary Asia. Thank you all so much for being with us. So let's just take a look at those numbers. It has been a huge success for India's tiger conservation efforts. India is now home to something like 70% of the world's tigers living in wilderness, and the numbers up sharply.
और हमारे 1706 थे जब हमने लास्ट गिना था, और तब से अब जो बढ़ा है वो आंकड़ा मैं आपके सामने रख रहा हूं, जो अभी टाइगर्स का आंकड़ा है.
A big jump in India's tiger numbers, and the best part is this is the closest scientific estimate till date done independently.
We could capture almost 70% of the tigers individually in photo traps. That's the most unique thing which has happened.
Since 2006, the tiger count is done using a more holistic approach with camera traps and on-ground monitoring. This method is a big change from the earlier pug mark counting method, which always led to allegations of inflated numbers. The number one state remains Karnataka now with 406 tigers. Uttarakhand now comes in at number 2 with 340, while Madhya Pradesh, which used to be the foremost tiger state, is now number 3 with 308. But even other states have shone. The highest percentage rise, for instance, has come in Kerala, with a 91% rise to 136 tigers. Now, with India home to 70% of the wild tigers in the world, the minister says we are ready to help other tiger nations.
जो भी देश बाघ मांगेंगे और सहयोग मांगेंगे, हम दोनों देने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Now, while tiger numbers in the country have jumped significantly to 2,226, many challenges still remain. There are several threats to the tigers in the form of poaching, man-animal conflict and shrinking forests.
We must now gear up to manage the populations which are dispersing out of these tiger reserves.
Many of these issues were highlighted by NDTV during the NDTV ASL Save Our Tigers campaign and telethon.
ASL and NDTV have now partnered for special tiger programs, where experts and concerned citizens can contribute to the cause.
Before we go to some of the factors that I think the country has done successfully over the last few years, Rajesh, just wanted to get you in on that point of the numbers, because we have seen some people questioning whether those numbers are absolutely strictly correct or not.
Well, Vikram, these numbers are absolutely precise, and the questions which are raised, very few, Dr. Ullas Karant and a few have raised this. These are totally uncalled for. I just checked up with the Wildlife Institute of India, and the R-squared statistics, inferential statistics, which Dr. Karant has been saying is not a true predictor. That's not well founded. We have checked. In fact, the model which he has designed, the mathematical model, and the calibration which he has done, those data are outliers, and that's obviously if you feed anything into that.
So you are reasonably confident that there has been a substantial jump in tiger numbers?
Absolutely, we have more than 70% individual photographic IDs of tigers, and even if you, using that specially explicit model, you are getting around 1900 tigers. What more do we need? The data-based extrapolation amounts to hardly 300 tigers. So Vikram, this is the most precise estimation. Nowhere in the world this has been done.
All right, Vivek, you're reasonably confident the tiger numbers have gone up fairly sharply in the last few years?
Most certainly, because we are seeing tigers outside parks much more often, so they've gone up.
What are the things that you think have worked in the last few years?
I think, Vikram, the first thing is that the realization that actually you were so low really dawned on people, and I think everybody got together, whether it's the conservationists, whether it's companies, whether it is stakeholders, all of them got together. I think by working to a very, very focused program of trying to handle the human-animal conflict issues, to ensure there is enough corridors being created, buffer zones being created around the places, to ensure there's anti-poaching, because there's one big activity which happened was really anti-poaching, and really drive that to a large extent by putting in RRUs in the marketplace. It really helped to actually make this thing come alive. And the education which was happening around the system, where we did with school children or with people at large, that this was an issue, and really not an issue just about tiger, but really about our ecosystem which was at risk. That really, I think, really helped in the last 7-8 years. I mean, this campaign has been running now for the last 7 years at all. Yeah. So it has been consistently communicating, getting people action on ground happening, has all come together, and the results of this come slowly, but they surely have come.
Bitul, let me get you in on that point. Your sense of some of the winning things now. Lots of strategies which were there in our campaign, and we can look at what's happened elsewhere. Going to the chief ministers, trying to persuade the states to actually do something about it. Tiger protection forces. A lot of steps were thought of. Any that you would like to highlight as steps that may have made a positive impact?
Well, one of the first things that made a very positive impact, Vikram, was the fact that certain amounts of money was made available for rehabilitation of those people who wished to be closer to markets. So when human beings vacated areas, then their fields became pastures, their water sources became available for wildlife, herbivore populations went up, tiger populations followed. In addition to that, the realization that the poaching gangs were actually in league with the underworld, with separatists, with terrorists, it enabled one of the key demands of the NDTV SL campaign was to set up special tiger protection forces. If you remember, in the early years, from chief minister to chief minister, we had thousands of kids who'd gone up and signed those. But okay, so these are the successes, no doubt about it. The fact that you give the tiger isolation, give him space, give him protection, he will do fine.
Let me get Rajesh, and frankly, Rajesh Gopal, I think you deserve a lot of the credit for whatever has been achieved out here. You've done an absolutely fantastic job. Your thoughts on what is behind the success? I mean, look, it's important to celebrate success when we get it. It's important to try and understand the reasons for it, because then maybe that's something which we can replicate in other areas. And this has been a big success.
Well, thank you, Vikram. Let me first compliment the ASL NDTV ongoing campaign. This has been wonderful, and I wish it should continue beyond this as well. As we all know, it's a collective responsibility between the federal government, the state governments, and the civil society at large. As Bittu pointed out, a lot of things happened. The civil society got activated, and the government of India and the states, the 18 tiger states, they took a lot of initiatives. As many as 50 initiatives were taken. And notable.
Could you highlight some of the most important tiger reserves, for example? A lot of them were notified.
A lot of tiger reserves were notified. Today we have more than 2.2% of the country's geographical area under the tiger reserves, Project Tiger coverage. Initially started with 9 reserves in 1973. Then the allocation was stepped up. And then the Special Tiger Protection Force, now it is in existence in almost 6 tiger reserves. Many more states have asked us for support, and then asked the government of India for support.
It's good to see that all of that is working well. Vivek, your thoughts? What's worked well?
We should not be overconfident, because we had in 72 turned tiger conservation on its head and said, we have done it in India. And then it all went down. So we must be careful not to repeat those mistakes. So what have we done well? The SL NDTV campaign has taken it to the people, has taken it to the policy makers. People like Dr. Rajesh Gopal and NTCA have made sure that the tiger reserves are doing stuff on the ground.
And I think it's important to also commend the government for this, because state government after state government played a very proactive role. The chief ministers got all involved. They delivered on their promises. One thing to make a commitment, and say, we'll do X, Y, Z. most of them actually followed through. They took the steps that were required to save our tigers. So our thanks to all of them. I think they've also done a great job. But somebody else perhaps who needs a word of commendation is of course Amitabh Bachchan, whose voice and becoming the face of this campaign was something that was really important. So we did speak to him and get his thoughts on the success of this campaign.
I'm most excited about this because it was in a telethon and my association with NDTV when we worked on this rather depressing figure of the number of tigers being in India being reduced to almost just 1,411. And these were the numbers that kind of provoked us to want to increase it. And I'm so happy that today we are on 2,226 tigers. That's an increase of almost 30%. And I also read now that we're in a situation where we can export tiger cubs to other countries and allow the tiger population to increase even further. So very excited about it, and I'm happy to have been associated with Save the Tiger campaign and to have these wonderful numbers.
Right. So, you know, all of that is great. So we are happy with what's happened right now, but I think I want to take up Vivek's point that we can't be overconfident because there are still plenty of problems. By the way, will tiger numbers keep on going up? Perhaps not, because now the tigers are reaching another problem, are encountering another problem, which is habitat. There's no real space for too many more tigers to actually come in. So what are we going to do about that? And what are the other threats and challenges that could come? So perhaps we should take a quick break, and then when we come back, what are the challenges going forward, and why is it so important to keep on focusing on this? Welcome back. This is the Save Our Tigers campaign. We're starting to work on season 4, and this is after we've been rather happy about the results that we have just been seeing. Tiger numbers going up to 2,226 is great. That means everything that this country has been doing to try and protect the tiger for the last 7-8 years in particular has worked. Tiger numbers are going up, but now there are other challenges, and especially when it comes to habitat. And let me just come to both of you on that before I go across to bit 2 as well. Rajesh, you were saying to me a short while back that it's not very clear how many more tigers India can actually support. We are 2,226. What can the numbers go up to, given the fact that the habitat has become much smaller? There isn't that much forest left for tigers to go into.
Well, Vikram, we are almost approaching the carrying capacity now, given the conditions which prevail now, the habitat situations. We have around 661 and little more national parks and sanctuaries, out of which 47 are designated tiger reserves. And if you take up the peripheral areas and some of the tiger-bearing forests, I think we won't be in a position to support more than 500 tigers if you stretch it to that level.
That's it?
Yes.
So you don't think the tiger numbers in India can even reach 3,000 unless something is done about the habitat?
Somewhere a little less than that, because you see, with this situation, the habitat conditions and the pressures on the habitat and the problems with the linkages of and the issues of tiger gene flow and the porosity of the habitat, we don't want our tigers from a reproductive surplus from the source areas earning a pest value. So given these habitat conditions, the limitations which operate on the habitat, so I don't think we'll be in a position to support more than maximum 500 tigers.
Key here is habitat. If you have enough good habitat and enough good prey, then of course tiger numbers can go up.
Actually, there is a big opportunity in all of this, and bit to that, you've always said that saving our tigers is crucial because of what that implies for other animals, for habitat, for general conservation. And now we are approaching the point where that's exactly what we're going to have to do. If we want to continue to get tiger numbers to move up, we're going to have to start worrying about the rest of the habitat and the rest of the wilderness.
We should underscore what you said about not being self-congratulatory. You know, the truth is that we've got higher tiger numbers in small pockets. But the moment these cubs go out, they are being hammered right now. They're being hammered by the illegal tiger trade wildlife trade, which is after drugs, after narcotics, arms and human trafficking, probably the largest illegal trade in the world. So these are very determined people, and we could very well be ending up just running abattoirs if we don't actually physically give these tigers space to move into.
All right, Bittu, so let me get from all of you, in just as closing comments, the one thing which you think we should focus on in the next couple of years. Anupam, Baranda, start off with you. One thing to focus on.
I think the biggest one will be the human and animal conflict zones, which will become more important as you go through, given the fact that the tiger reserves are coming out and they're conflicting. I think that would be a big element of work, in my view.
Okay, great.
Mark Twain once famously said, when you see land, grab it, they ain't making it no more. If we need to give something for the next generation, it is land. If we need to give something for tigers or wildlife, it is land.
But is that just getting more land because that's going to be difficult, or just improving the habitat on existing land?
Absolutely improving the habitat in existing land as well. We should take our focus away from forest cover alone, but look beneath that cover and improve the health of what we have.
All right, your thoughts, sir?
Well, Vikram, two things I'll say. One is the corridor connectivity and having an inclusive agenda for restoring the corridors. Second one is how much the tiger contributes to the welfare of the society. That needs to be quantified further and stated before the public so that people can appreciate that. Not that they're not appreciating. We did a recent study with Indian Institute of Forest Management. 1 rupee of investment in a tiger reserve, how much of tangibles we get, of course, leave alone the intangibles. We can't quantify them at all. This sort of evaluation needs to be done throughout the country and told to people so that people are with us. Payment for ecosystem services, for not spoiling the forest, people should get the reward.
All right, Bittu, one quick suggestion.
Well, one very quick suggestion would be that as far as policymakers are concerned, they should understand that the economy, we need very little education now for children. They've got it. It's the adults who seem unable to get the picture that if saving tigers actually fights climate change, fighting climate change improves our agriculture and our water sources and therefore our economy. So we really need to get our members of parliament and members of legislative assemblies onto the act of understanding the rationale behind why we are saving tigers.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us. Many congratulations, I have to say, are due to all of you for the work that has been done so far, and getting those numbers to move from 1,400 to 2,226 is something that I think all of us will feel pleased about. But I think it's also been very well stated and something which we should be careful about. You cannot be complacent. You can't be way too self-confident or arrogant about these numbers, because just as the numbers came up, they could shrink equally fast. And I think it's time that all of us spent a lot of time and effort now worrying about habitat and worrying about the overall state of our forests, because at the end of the day, as we've kept on saying, the health of those forests is really crucial for the health of this country. Thanks a lot for watching. We will, of course, continue to bring you the Save Our Tigers campaign this next season, and we look forward to having you watching us.